All right. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. 8:05. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion.
Julie motions. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Okay, we are good to go. We have a visitor today.
We do, Madam Chair, if I may, we
Yeah, go
have some
for it.
visitors, but I want to introduce next on our agenda to talk about the Crossroads Big Bend project.
Mhm.
The county received the grant for that project. Our guest on the camera, as you all see, is Ray Golick. He is the area engineer for our part of the county. And I just want to preface, Ray knows all this through and through, but I just want to preface how much of a helpful friend he has been in this process to the city and really walking through things and answering questions. So as we talk today and as he talks about the process, some of the key things that we've talked about as staff is, making sure that the business district inputs in at the right time, right? So that we don't end up late in the process with input, right? So that's part of the reason of having this conversation today, so that we're all sort of on the front end of things and where those right key moments for the involvement and what the streetscape and the design features look like, and then also the roadway features as well. So with that, Ray, I'll turn it to you and let you walk us through it.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting St. Louis County to this meeting. Back in the fall of 2021, St. Louis County met with Webster Groves in the school district, and it was decided that this section of the Crossroads and also the business district needed some improvements, but that individually Webster Groves and the county was not financially able to fund it. So we all decided that it would be a good idea to try to apply for some federal funding through the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. So, and it was further decided that St. Louis County would submit the application and try to apply for the funds or try to receive the funds. We did apply for the funds in February of this year. The funds were granted to us. And so we did get funding for this. So this project is moving forward. And the grant we got was an 80% federal participation with a 20% local agency contribution. Is it okay if I share my screen, everybody?
Yep.
Go right ahead, Ray. Yep.
Okay. Can everyone see it, the screen?
Yep.
Is Google Earth is up? Okay. So this is the intersection of Big Bend and Elm, and the extent of the project will be a little east of the intersection. So we pick up this right turn lane here on Big Bend, heading north on Elm. We will go through the intersection itself, and we will have signal improvements, not only for pedestrians, but also, well, it will be for pedestrians mainly, and also for traffic movements. This island on this corner here and this corner here will be improved for pedestrian access, and the crosswalks themselves will be high visibility. We'll also have push buttons, and we'll also have ped heads to access to give the pedestrians a little more comfort as they walk across. Also in this,
Ray, just real quick, what's a ped head for those that wouldn't know?
oh, I'm sorry. It's actually audible and visible square box on the signal post that shows the timing of how much time is left before the signal stops the pedestrian movements. And sometimes when the signal stops the pedestrian movement, it'll be a little hand showing up. And when the signal allows pedestrian movement, it shows a little man walking,
Right.
and it also has a timer.
Okay.
And it clicks down seconds till the timer is going to stop, until the pedestrian movements are to stop. So that helps the pedestrian movements. Also in this corner, we are proposing what they call a bulb out. to shorten the length of the pedestrian walk across Big Bend over to this island. And this also allows for the parking on this section of Big Bend in the business district. And moving further down, so we will continue the parking, The lane configuration will be moved to a 1 lane in each direction. And we will also include a center 2-way left turn lane in this section. Moving down, oh, and there will be sidewalks on both sides of the road. And everything, I forgot to mention up at the intersection, everything will be ADA compliant. So that's also a big plus, because some aspects of this intersection may not be ADA compliant to today. Also, the intersections, as the project moves down, all of these corners will have ADA compliant curb ramps. Moving down. Oh, and all the road surface will be milled and overlaid. So there will be a new road surface. So it won't look the way it is today. It'll look really nice once we're all finished with that. Because right now it looks a little wore. And moving down, we do have to cross railroad tracks. So there is sometimes there could be a slowdown when we have railroad tracks involved, because we have to have railroad involvement. And moving down, the project is ending at the train station, and the rest from Big Bend, from the train station down to the I-44 overpass, is a MoDOT owned road. And MoDOT is proposed to update this road and the bridge in the future.
So Ray, can we, just for that, I think a lot of folks here, so that stretch there, that's a MoDOT piece of Big Bend.
Okay, and that goes from
So,
the train
yep,
station
that's
across
sort
the
of-
bridge?
That sort of yellow piece where his cursor is right there,
Mhm.
all the way to the bridge is MoDOT, right, Ray?
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. And you can
So it's
kind of see
not a
the
county
cutoff.
road, it's state road there. So, yeah.
And do
That
they
we're-
own across the bridge too?
Do they own the bridge, Ray? Is that a
Yes, they
MoDOT
do.
bridge?
Yes, that is a MoDOT bridge.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I think MoDOT is working on the other Big Bend crossing over 44 as we speak, or they just finished. I'm not sure. But the one further up the road.
Yeah.
Further west.
We've dealt with the detour traffic all summer, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully that is finished.
Yeah.
So, and let's see, what else?
Ray, I got a question.
Oh, yes.
So the center left turn lane, is that going to continue all the way to the train station? Or is
Yes.
it going to go back to 2 lanes?
It's
or
going to
4 lanes?
continue. It'll continue all the way to this train station.
Okay, so then MoDOT will have to change their section because the bridge goes to 1 lane in each direction.
Correct. Yeah. Good.
So Ray, just in the broad scope, Big Bend all the way through, including the pieces Old Orchard that we talked about in our meeting we had. Reality, we're gonna see really Big Bend becoming 2 lanes of travel.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Because you will have
one in
full-time
each
parking.
direction.
Yeah. Full-time parking in the Old Orchard area instead of alternating parking and alternating drive lanes.
Right. So
And
there's just
this-
a general road diet happening on Big Bend all the way through.
Correct. Now, and the schedule on this section of Big Bend project, so the preliminary plans are due in October of 2024. And also I need to mention before I go farther is once we get the preliminary plans finished, we will have our website up. So anyone who wants to see what's going on with the project can view what's going on the county's website under the transportation department, under projects, under design. And you can see day-by-day activities, or I don't want to say day by day, but I should say as soon as they update the activities, everyone will be able to see what's going on with those. Then the right-of-way plans are scheduled for June of 2025. The right-of-way acquisition will start in April of 2026. Then the construction plans will start July of 2026, and then construction will start in November of 2027 after everything's in place.
Ray, just on the timeline, I know in our meeting, we talked about this December, is the county solicit design consultant slash engineers this December, is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it potentially possible for the city to have a part in that solicitation process?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We want to get the city involved with that for sure.
Okay. And then for everyone, as you see the screen and such, the city still has its streetscape money, which is separate from the project, but in the same period set aside. So we'll be able to streetscape and build that in with the county's process as we're talking about the light poles and all those other features and amenities. That'll be added, so.
Yeah, this section of road is going to look really, really good once it's finished, and it'll be functional not only for pedestrians, but also for the business district. So it's going to be a win-win for Webster Groves, for the business district, for the school right up the street, and for the pedestrians. So this is a wonderful project for a whole bunch of participants.
Hey, Ray, this is Chris Westmeyer.
Yes.
Is anything happening, or Eric, is there anything happening at the intersection there of the Gore, Baker, Big Bend, where every day it's kind of like sitting here watching in the office, cars miss each other by an inch or two, as it seems like everything's crashing down. Are we adjusting, are we making these one ways, putting little islands in the middle? Are we doing anything with these streets? Because people cut across all the time and you can't see anything as they come over the train tracks. And so it's last minute, you hear it nonstop.
So I certainly will defer to Ray, as a good chunk of it's his road. There's not been any interim conversation that's happened other than obviously need to design that intersection, which is I won't speak for Ray, but as a non-engineer, I find that intersection to be really challenging, especially with obviously that driveway that pops right out there at the corner in the intersection.
Yeah, this one.
Right,
So-
and so, but the point is well taken, that we need to have, part of this was figuring out the timeline, and then from the city side and with the county, is there something on the interim that needs to be done? So.
And Ray, what we originally proposed as an organization at one time was a triangle right there to the right of that line you see, right where your mouse is, up in there. And it would go in there, and then cars coming down Big Bend towards the railroad tracks could only go right there or straight across, or I'm sorry, they could only go right there, and then they'd have to go up over Big Bend. Anyone coming from Gore to Big Bend would literally have to take a right. They could not go straight. They had all these barriers, so you had to go only one direction, so no one could dart and do a U-turn in the middle of all that traffic.
Right. And see, that is a very good idea, Chris. And when we get to our consultant selection, and I don't want to go too far out onto a limb because we're not into the design section part of it yet, but that's a very good attribute that we can add there that would help increase the safety of that intersection.
Yeah, and when we were talking about that, the other thing we struggle with, and I'm okay because I'm not the one getting hit, but you see where that car is on that black parking lot right there, up towards the railroad tracks on the side of the building?
This one?
Car will back up into the middle of traffic as cars come flying over, and all those vehicles will back up into moving traffic all the time. So we were trying to plan a way to give her some space right there that she could use her parking lot, but not have to have people, literally 70, 80-year-old people, back up into the middle of, fast moving traffic.
Oh, right. So, and I think in this area, there is like a continual entrance the whole way from here.
Yes, so you come in or out, and if I videotaped one day of activity here, you would be amazed at how many cars almost hit each other all day long, backing up, coming straight across, trying to do an angle where they're coming down Gore and then going left onto Big Bend towards Elm. They cut out, cars don't see each other. It's constant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This hill here, you can't see anybody over the railroad tracks. And so they just come flying over, and these cars down here never see anything. So I just wanted to make sure, as we were talking about this, if there was any possibility to secure this corner a little bit, these angles down here. The neighbors that I've talked to are generally all in favor of it, even if it's an inconvenience for them to get out of their driveway. They have to drive around and get onto Big Bend a different way or something like that. They were
Right.
okay with it if it made it quieter and safer.
Correct. And one of the things that can be done is, and just curiosity, is there anyone at the meeting represented ownership of this building?
I've
No.
asked, I've asked
No.
her multiple times to come to the meeting.
But no response. Okay. One of the things that can be done in the design phase is that we have this entrance here, and this entrance looks like it's causing the trouble of the cars coming in and out and backing out where they shouldn't be backing out. Because you're right, that's a sight distance issue as cars come from the hill over the railroad tracks. And some of them could be going a little above the speed limit, and that just someone
Just a
pulling
little,
out.
Ray, just a little when they hit that spot. Yeah.
And the crazy part, Ray, is your angle right now doesn't really show it. You can't see the cars until they hit the railroad tracks. You can't, you're lower than you are in this view right here. And so right now I can see, when you turn around, I can see the road behind you. But when you come over, you cannot see, and they can't see you. It happens really suddenly all the time. I have no idea how we don't have an accident every week there. It's just creative driving. Now,
Right. Yeah,
nice-
yeah.
the nice part is it doesn't affect us. We're on the corner right there, and we have all the way down. So that white building you're seeing in the background is us. And I'm sitting in there with those glass windows looking out at that corner all day long. So it's just kind of, I can see it and hear it, and we hear the horns.
Oh, right. Yeah. So getting rid of this entrance would be one way of helping that. So
And then if you look over on the left side on Gore, drag to your left on the screen, that right there, when people pull up, they turn and they go left where that Jeep is. And when they turn, what happens all the time is they pull out and a car comes flying over the top, and they're trying to scramble really quick, and they dart into the far right lane to get out of the way of the car flying over. If that becomes parking, there's nowhere to dart. You have to just hit the gas as fast as you can in the lane you're in, because they miss each other by inches by going across the interior lane to the one near the sidewalk. They jump all the way across and let the car where that white car is fly down that lane so they don't hit them.
okay. And yeah, I could see that. And hopefully when we put in the two-way left turn lane, that'll provide some area for the cars to pull into before they actually, because these cars are coming too quick. And when this car is already committed to be pulling out and he's halfway into the road, then finally he sees this other car coming over the railroad tracks, and he's already committed to move forward, but he sees that he can't really make it. So because the other car is speeding, and then he'll have the center two-way left turn lane to move into for a refuge.
Yeah. And
So that will help.
where does that lane come from? Because right now, if you take the right lane and you make that parking on the far right of the screen, you take the far left and you make that parking, that leaves you with two lanes in the middle. Where's that third lane, that suicide lane, going to come from? Where's the space? Unless
So,
you get sidewalks.
right. So we're going to rework the whole width of the right of way, and it's going to be, yes. We're going to
So-
restripe it, and it's going to, yeah,
So we've heavily invested in the entire block on that left side where that brick two-story building is, the Spanish building, the thing. We're counting on that sidewalk being there, you not moving it in on us.
You can't,
You
you
can't.
can't move it as you get toward Elm. There's hardly
There's no
sidewalk
space,
on
right.
the south.
So we're counting on you leaving the space that we have. Our building is, that building right there is right on the corner,
right.
on the sidewalk, and our other buildings are really close. So where are you finding the space to build that suicide lane.
We have to, oh, I see what you're saying here.
So what's the width of the current lanes?
Right, so the lanes may have to be narrowed a bit.
They would have to be narrowed a lot because right now they're not that wide.
And
got-
also the parking spots. The parking lane. We have a little excess here for the parking. We could get some of the parking out. See, but we don't want to lose, like you said, we don't want to lose the sidewalk here or up at the other building or even here. But we do have some space with
Yeah, that's gonna be so tight. That's why when we were looking at it, we couldn't get a suicide lane in there.
okay, during the
There-
design phase, they'll put the lane striping in during the design phase. And we could visit that when they do get it up on the website. And we
And
could see how all that's gonna fit together, but it's gonna fit together. And we don't want to get rid of the sidewalks. We don't want to get rid of the parking, but we want to make this traversable for traffic also.
no, I'm 100% with you. We had Cochran do designs in the past for a lot of this, so I just wanted engineers I thought already map it.
Oh, right.
Yes. When we submitted the grant, yes, Cochran did those. They'll have to go, now that the grant's been awarded, we'll have to go through that whole process again and map it all out. So it'll be. I think, Chris, what you're saying is accurate. We'll be in the design phase, really talking about what's the feasibility of all those lanes and also, how does tightening the lanes slow things down at all, or what do we do with that? So. But
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is folks don't want to lose a property issue, have an expansion of the roadway to fit all the lanes, because that would lose sidewalks and buildings.
Yeah, and some of those doors, when you're walking in or out, I mean, you could almost hit someone, as you're walking by and they wouldn't see it. That's how tight those sidewalks are today, up away from us, up towards Big Bend. There's not much space in the sidewalk. I don't even know if they're ADA compliant for width or anything. Like to get a wheelchair down there, to get around that mailbox, things like that.
Well, that mailbox was never supposed to stay there. It was just a temporary fix until they did the turn lane, and it's there. And they keep knocking it free with snowplows into my building. So I'm all for the mailbox being moved again, because it really is, it's not supposed to be there,
Then get rid of that damn thing, because they're breaking into them anyway and stealing our mail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the issue. And then if we put period lighting in here, the historic lighting on the sidewalks, Eric, we're gonna still need those poles. And then it's gonna be tight on those sidewalks with poles on either side, my only point is.
There's only so much space. So in the design phase, they're gonna have to figure all this out, and we'll be read in on it. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Because maybe the turn lane can't continue all the way through the district, but be at the one end of the district or something like that.
Yeah, and that's a possibility also. Absolutely.
Ray, just quickly, I know at our meeting, we talked about, while you're there, if you pan a little to the left, that's the Alma intersection. I think if I'm correct, and I can't remember his name, but folks from County Central talked about potentially have a bump out here on that.
Yes,
space.
yes, yes, there, absolutely. Yeah, that was. And
Which
there's,
side is that on? Do you remember?
yeah, so that's on the Alma side. So
Yeah.
there's a bump out. There's actually 3 bump outs proposed so far. One is near Gore, one is near Alma, and one is up at Elm.
Okay. So that would, and then I don't know that we're talking a mid-block crosswalk, but it would move that traffic and create a little parking space right there, I think where that pole is, correct? Is that
Correct.
what- Yeah.
And
And
if you do the bump out down at Gore, you may lose the ability to put that triangle in to sort the traffic out.
Okay, and we'll look at that too. We want everything to fit together nicely so it works for traffic and so it does work for the pedestrians also.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd want a crosswalk at Gore.
No.
That's even more
At
Okay.
Oklahoma for sure.
Yeah, and that could be removed if it's found that if it isn't profitable for the pedestrians and especially for traffic movements, that could still be taken out. Because everything is still fluid.
Yeah, all we want to do is anything that you need, if you need cameras put up or anything to just look at traffic patterns or anything, you can use our property, you can use our cameras, you can use anything you want to get information. So you can watch the migration of kids and things like that, how they move through there.
Do kids come through this area by Gore?
All the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Running across like animals dodging the cars.
Oh, okay.
Ray, it's definitely a design consideration is we're gonna have to get kids coming off the depot space to the direct west of Big Bend there after it curves to go across the tracks and then also off of Gore, off of Baker there essentially. I mean, they're coming, so we've got to get them across somehow and get them. And unfortunately, they don't go all the way down to Elm and take the crosswalk.
No,
So-
but we get probably 20 to 50 or more walking across the middle of our parking lot. Ray, if you turn to the right a little bit, keep going. They come right there across the main part of the parking lot, cut between those bushes there, and then they run across right there, which gives them enough room to see the cars coming over the curb. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay, so yeah,
They all cut through the neighborhood there and they like to jump across right there somewhere because you can cut underneath. If you keep going straight through the properties, you can cut off the whole angle to get to the school down there.
oh, and it makes it shorter for them.
A
Yeah,
lot shorter.
yes.
So just a note, if anyone wants, you probably need a crosswalk somewhere down here.
Okay, so a mid-block.
Yeah.
And maybe not have the one at Gore, because that would be too close to Gore to have a crosswalk here and a crosswalk mid-block. Maybe just have one mid-block.
Yep. And if you go too far down to Big Bend, they won't walk all the way down there to do it. They'll do it here or by the Spanish building right there. Any one of these areas
Ah,
is where they'll jump across. And then if you turn to the right a little bit more, they cut through this parking lot on the right, keep going to the right. They keep going. They go around a fence and they go underneath that bridge there and drop down onto Elm and then walk over to the school.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're nuts.
They go behind my dumpster at 8780.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
So they can get through there.
but I mean, when I was a kid, that's the way I did it. I lived up the street here and walked this exact same pattern.
Okay, and they're still doing that. Okay.
It just
Bad
cut-
example, Chris, bad example. You're saying-
I was a model, never in trouble and never jaywalked or anything.
They also follow the tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
If
they
you-
go around this dumpster because there's that,
Yep.
okay,
They go
If
around
you-
there, they go left, and you drop.
If you pull up, Ray, you can see the green space behind this parking lot where they cut across Elm. Pull up from.
Well, for
From
satellite
American-
view.
Go to the satellite view.
oh, satellite view, okay.
So you see that green
Green.
space there.
Yeah.
This one?
No,
No,
behind,
No,
go
parallel,
right-
parallel with the tracks, Ray.
Oh, okay.
And then they just drop, they walk through that green space and they drop down onto the sidewalk underneath the bridge, underneath the railroad tracks there. They walk down and keep going to the right. They walk down and then they go across an intersection here somewhere. And then they go over to the school.
Oh, wow,
The school's
gotcha.
there, up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that cutting off a big portion of their commute by just cutting through like, yeah.
That's where I walk the dog. Yeah, he runs around, she runs around in that green space back there behind the fence.
Okay. So how often do trains go down these tracks?
Couple times a day, but it's not super safe, but it usually doesn't coincide with the kids. And there's enough room in that green space that it's really honestly never seems to be an issue.
Okay, yep. Well, that's
not-
good.
I'm not saying it's the safest thing, but
Well, the kids
Yeah.
then have to run across Elm to get to the sidewalk.
Yeah,
They'll cross under that railroad bridge, they'll run across Elm.
Yeah.
Ray, did you hear that?
Yes.
So,
So they'll actually go over the top of the bridge
no,
No,
that-
they'll run across.
Underneath. They go on,
underneath.
yeah, they never touch the railroad tracks.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, because that's
There's-
scary.
There's only a sidewalk on the other side, so they have to cross.
See if we got some space here.
so as what Jason is saying is they've got to come underneath and then they dart across Elm to get to that sidewalk on the left side, because there's no west side sidewalk.
Right. So and then they come through all the green space. Okay. Oh, there's
Yeah,
a wall
there's some
there.
There's some gaps there. The wall stops and then opens up with just some gaps and they jump down and they only have to jump to the middle island and then they can jump over. You know what I mean? Run over.
Oh, man, they come through this? That's incredible.
Well, I
Further
think-
to the right. It's
Further, is it to the right or left? There you go.
well, yeah, it could be the left, right at the bridge, but it's to the right, right behind the dumpsters at the end of that fence, you see.
Okay,
Keep going.
so in this area, they come through.
Yeah.
Right, it's like that.
Yep.
And
Or
there's the
on-
dumpster.
No, no, all the way to the right is there's another dumpster in the corner on the right.
You just can't see it in the tree line there. It's
Right.
there.
Oh, it's there. It's hid by the
Keep-
trees.
Right,
Okay,
right there by the white cars back here on the right. Yeah,
And
they
this-
can come, because that's where the fence dies or ends right there at that dumpster.
okay.
No, they come from the other side.
Both,
They come closer to the railroad bridge.
yeah, both.
Both and both from both directions. Okay,
Yeah, they just need a way to go, somewhere to show them where to head to.
right. Oh, my gosh. Because
We'll
this
tell them,
cross,
we'll tell them not to follow Chris's example. That's what we'll do. So.
Never follow me.
Well, I lost my loafer in the construction of 44, trying to get over to Hickson.
That's what that loafer was for.
Yeah, sucked it right off my foot.
So Ray, as you can see, as when we're in design phase, we have lots of things to consider, you know, little, I don't want to call them peculiarities, but circumstances about that roadway and such. So,
very good. And we need to all stay in contact with this.
so Ray, on the design phase, you guys are issuing an RFP December, is that, or are you awarding the RFP in December? What, do you know what the plan is?
I'm a little fuzzy on if we're issuing it or rewarding it in
Okay.
December.
Okay. But you will, once you've selected that vendor, you're gonna want us to be involved in as the conversations with that consultant or the
Yes.
contractor? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Other questions and thoughts from folks? This is the time with Ray, so.
So I was just wondering, with all these great traffic calming improvements, is there going to be a change in the speed limits?
No, there's no speed limit proposed change.
Because it's supposed to be pretty slow, but nobody abides by it.
Yeah,
Is it a 25?
25.
It's
Yeah,
25.
it's 25.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, though they don't go 25, but it's,
No.
yeah, so.
yeah. Will there be like speed, like flashing lights, like, or anything to bring attention to the speed limit more, or, I mean,
Ray, you
Uh,
want to talk about that? Are those helpful? Do they work? Do they?
yeah, there won't be any flashing lights, but there will be posted speed limit signs. And we will have to rely on the officers to enforce the speed limit through that area. So hopefully there can be some, anyway, some checking of this by the officers.
So Ray, just quick, I want to turn, Sergeant, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know Dale, the chief, talks a lot about, you know, signage, you know, we put it up to solve those things, but in general, it doesn't work. right?
People have to read them.
People have to read
People have to read
it and do they actually change behavior? I haven't seen much, I don't think the chief would say there's not much evidence that it changes behavior, even the flashing pedestrian signs,
mhm,
you know, people just right through.
yeah.
So,
But slowing us down to 2 lanes I think that's gonna
That'll
be.
help
the case.
Yeah,
quite a
that'll-
bit, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like when you drive through Old Webster, right?
Yeah.
You're not driving 35, you can't,
Yeah.
there's too much going on.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And studies have shown that the narrower the lanes, the slower people go or the more cautious they drive. So that will be a help in itself, just narrowing things down a bit.
Ray, originally, there was talk on, the opposite side of the railroad tracks in the middle lane. What they were gonna do was actually on the proposed area that you're redoing up on, before it gets to the bridge on Big Bend, is they were gonna put a median in the middle and not have a third lane, and they were gonna plant it. Is that still something that was even considered if you keep going to the left? So right there, as you get down to the, yeah, that red area right in the middle, they were talking about doing a tree line center or something like that to slow down traffic and to make it more, less industrial, I guess, or something. That was part of what we had discussed with the East-West Gateway Group and some other people as we were trying to come up with ideas.
Okay, now from my understanding at this point, as we approach both sides of the railroad tracks, what we can do is put a center island in here, but the center island, it can have some vegetative effects. But and I apologize. The main reason for the center island, oh, hold on one second. So is to keep cars from turning left or to get out of the queue and to go.
You're fine, Ray. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, we don't care.
okay, good. Thank you, thank you. Because they have us working at home because of COVID and stuff. So I'm at home right now and
Yeah, that's fine.
I
We
don't know what
barely
he's
hear
going.
it.
So, and also, did you want to consider islands at other places also?
No, they were,
Besides in-
they were just considering extending that island all the way down to the train station down there. And they were just, it was vegetative, just to make it look more elegant as you came into, you know, the area Webster, and it was just gonna look pretty. I thought that was a cool idea and I didn't hear much more on it. I don't care what you do. I just thought it was kind of an interesting idea. I love the vegetation.
Okay, as far as to my knowledge, that hasn't been discussed at this point.
Okay.
The only thing that has been discussed though is, and let me get down to the road again.
Ray, there'd be not really a point of having a center left turn lane since there's no where
Right.
to turn.
Right.
Right, and this is where it may be ending also. So it would be variable center left turn lane where it is needed and where it is not needed. And this is where the islands would be proposed to go, so people can't get out of the queue when the train's coming through. And also one of the other things that were proposed, we're extending this guardrail up a little bit closer to the tracks. So if people speeding around this corner, they won't go actually into the ditch. If that is an issue, we were discussing extending the guardrail also.
I've only seen that a couple times, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have it.
Okay,
Ray, I know we mentioned in our conversation as staff that, you know, that piece of Big Bend right there near the depot, it's a pretty wide piece of pavement that ultimately we want 2 lanes on. There's not a lot of parking demand in that area.
None.
You know, that we're gonna have some extra width there to have to compensate with somehow in the design, you know, to help continue that slowing so that they don't come across the MoDOT bridge and just accelerate, you know, all the way right into the business district. So we'll have to, you know, I think from a city perspective, you know, that's something important. How do we, if we've got things slowed down in the Crossroads and slowed down on the other side of the 44 bridge, how do we not make that an acceleration zone there?
sure, yeah, and we can discuss that more during the design phase and we could see what's going on. One of the things we do have going on here also is I guess not. I thought we had shoulders, but I guess that's just the driving lanes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and we could discuss that in the driving, I'm sorry, in the design phase also, because like you were mentioning, there's not really much of a need for a left turn lane in this area.
There isn't, and there's no parking needed. And
Right.
what's really weird is if you go back a little bit to the bridge was taken down to 1 lane on each side. And so then it suddenly becomes 2 lanes. It's 1 lane with like that is 1 lane. They have like the middle.
Yes, the yellow lines.
Yeah, so it goes from 1 lane, it opens up into 2, and then a few seconds later, it'll go back down to 1 unless you run that as 1 lanes on the other side. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. So our project and the MoDOT project will transition smoothly, so people will make that transition from 1 lane to 2 lane.
Well, then
Yeah.
it goes back to 1 lane right after that. So it doesn't, there's no need for like the double lane here, really. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
There's only, 1,000 feet and then you're back at 1 lane again, or 500 feet.
Right,
Needs to pass really.
good,
Or
good eye. Yeah, yeah. So we may consider just having the 1 lane once we get closer to the bridge, so there isn't that short distance of 1 lane, then 2 lane, then 1 lane again, and that could cause driver confusion, and we don't want that.
With the planted median in there, so
that's what I was hoping. Yeah, it
Yeah.
would make it it would.
you're already going to 1 lane on the bridge, so put a median in the rest of it that you could plant.
Yep.
That will slow people coming into the Crossroads district down too.
And honestly, it'll be so much nicer blocking a little bit more of the highway and you know what I mean, for the residents and the people, and it's just more green space.
Yeah, green space is nice. Green space is always nice.
And that's kind of a rough area with the old gravel parking lots and the railroad tracks and all the old asphalt. It's just really industrial looking right there and not very attractive in that area.
Yes.
Boy, I wish we could do something with that train station.
Don't get me started.
I know. I know. I would buy it in a heartbeat and turn it into something.
Yeah, you can't though. It belongs to the railroad.
I know. Let's just eminent domain it somehow.
Can't do that.
That don't work either, so. We already have 1 depot that we own as a city, that Union Pacific gave us 1, so. What else do we have for Ray? This is our time, and obviously, once design starts, we'll be sitting back at the table again, but.
So I think down in Kirkham is a really good example of the islands with the vegetation in the middle and being an effective way of keeping people from hitting the gas when they have a wide open area. So I don't know if Ray is familiar with that area.
The area down at
City.
Kirkham, which is Brentwood, Ray, it's up in Old Webster, so, but she's saying it's an example of medians,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with vegetation and such, yes,
See if I could find it.
much farther north.
Yeah, much farther here. Let
Oh,
me-
you're going to Old Orchard there, wrong way. Go
Oh.
left, Old Webster.
Oh, Old Webster.
Sorry, did I say Old Orchard?
No, no, you said it right. I was just. So there's Lockwood.
A little further yet. And a little down.
Oh, there's Kirk.
There it is, so now you've got some vegetation in the medians right in there, if you look.
Oh, yeah, I'm seeing that.
Yeah, that's cool. That turned
That's-
into parks.
Right, so that's the
Yeah.
sculpture park there that you see, but you see the vegetation in the medians there on Kirkham proper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was hoping for, that. It's really nice.
who maintains that?
Webster,
Webster maintains that? Okay, and Kirkham is a main, Webster Street?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah, this looks really nice.
and then, yeah, you can go up or down a little bit, and it keeps going, turn around. And go, it just keeps going and going, so the whole median goes the whole way down Kirkham, just keep going. And you'll see it works really well. They open it up here and there. If you jump across that intersection, go towards that church, it goes all the way down to the next big street, Rock Hill.
Oh, I lost my.
I know, I hate that. So just kind of
Okay,
going.
yeah,
and go.
there's, keep going, yeah.
It's just very elegant and nice.
Wow, that is, wow.
So Ray, as you look at that and think about that, you're coming off of Brentwood Boulevard, which is Kirkup, right? Which is of course a 4-lane road. And if you ultimately look, we're trying to slow traffic through Old Webster, but then you see that next piece of Kirkup is just a small 2-lane road, across that intersection at the the top of your screen. So in reality, we've got to pull major road down to very minor road. Right?
Oh, right, yeah.
So,
And it seems to work really well. There doesn't seem to ever be much of a backup or any issues there. And
Okay,
maybe for other reasons, not because of what we've done, but
yeah.
so that's what I would love. If we had the budget and someone had the stomach for it, that would be great to do up there on Big Bend.
Well, it can be discussed in the design phase and so. And I don't want to, I can't make any promises because that'll be up to other folks.
Well, we're just gonna tell them you made promises.
they'll just say the promises are broken, okay, Chris? So. But no, just again, to repeat for everyone, Ray has been great about getting us information and that the website they've created for all their projects, they have a little project template, you know, it's really great. So you can see other projects in progress right now and what they're doing. So I appreciate the transparency on that. So we sort of know what's going on. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Ray. It's very,
Oh.
very.
Thank you.
Yeah, and all of your inputs are helpful and we got to keep in touch with people too, as we're doing this. Okay,
Ray, thank you. And so you'll let me know when we get into that design phase and when you need our work and such?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
make sure the chair and others here know.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. It's good to meet everyone.
Thanks, Ray.
Keep in
Thank
touch.
you.
Okay, we have another visitor, Jeff.
Yes,
You're visiting us.
that's right.
Do you
Sam,
have Jeff
no, I
Sanders?
really came to see where we were with this. I know Chris has talked about it in the past, so.
So Jeff used to, for those of you who don't know, Jeff used to be on the board. And so he has accepted my invitation to come back to the board, right?
Yes,
Yes, so Jeff will be coming back to the board, so we'll get your stuff filled out.
super.
Okay, awesome. All right. So we did old business, the streetscape update. So my one question about everything that Ray said.
Yep.
Is so construction start is November of 2027.
Right.
So that's. Everything is on that
Everything.
timeframe.
Everything will be on
It's
that
on that timeline.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. There would be no good reason to open up and put the
Part it.
poles in and then reopen the whole sidewalk and potentially have to move some poles if the design changes. So,
It's
exactly.
it's further in the future that
Right.
we wanted, but we want to make sure this goes. That is successful in its
Right.
entirety
Exactly.
after being involved in this since,
We're at the mercy of where that federal grant comes, right?
Right.
Because you get the grant, but that's still money.
Right.
Essentially, they've obligated money in a few years out.
Okay.
So,
So when county comes up with a timeline like this, it seems to be a relatively dependable timeline.
yes,
Okay,
because they're scheduling all that work and they're looking
Right,
at the
and
federal
their-
money and
and
when
their
when
queues.
it's meant to come in. So.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So we will be, obviously keep you abreast of when that design committee meets and such.
Mhm.
We may have to figure out if there's going to be a representative or such from Crossroads, who that is, right? I don't know that we'll have we'll certainly have these meetings, right? We'll invite the county back to them, but if there is a process selection or a design input committee or such, we may have to figure out a representative.
all right, we'll put reps in. Sounds good. Okay, let's see, anybody else have any questions about the streetscape before we move on to new business? Okay, let's move on to new business.
New business. So we talked briefly about a facade grant. And so you have it in the budget, a $2,000 facade grant. Digital Strike has submitted an application for that facade grant and all the appropriate reimbursement documents and all the expenses are in order. So I just wanted to come back. We can authorize that as staff and put it out as in your budget. I just wanted to make sure,
And
since Chris is a member.
Chris, this is
everyone's good.
for the newest acquisition building, right? Okay. Newly acquired. Okay.
But I just really wanted to make sure, since Chris is a member of the commission, that everyone knew that we were going to be authorizing the facade grants. It's complied with the rules. So
Yeah.
make sure there wasn't any objection or questions.
Does anybody have any objections?
No.
I do. I'm just kidding.
I'm ready.
I'm just messing with you. Okay, okay, so we can move on. So where do we talk about Union Loafer in new business or BDC
Either
or
one.
city? Okay,
Talk
so
about Union Loafer.
on Union Loafer,
Yes,
this is getting frustrating.
okay,
So, because they keep saying they're gonna open in August, they
Sure.
don't open. They're gonna open in September, don't open. They're gonna open in October, don't open. I've been in touch with this gentleman, Ted,
yeah,
for some time now. Well, now we're gonna try to open in November. If we can't open then, we
Right.
hope to open in December. So I'm just curious.
right.
I mean, is it just like an open permit? Or does a permit close, or does the city say you have to open at some point? Because
The
this
city
is,
just,
Or
Right.
release the building,
what's that?
or they can't just have vacant buildings, right? At some point.
Sure can, absolutely. That would be a taking issue if we as the city just decided that you have to fill the building, right? That's a property right issue. Chris, there's some vacant spots on Lockwood and Old Webster that the landlord just, I'm not renting to a business. You know, they don't like the business, and so there's little we can do about that. On a permit side, permits are time limited, but they all, if there are progress on things, planning and development can extend them if they have reached that time and such.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they have or not. I haven't asked, so certainly can look into that, but in general, we have been, no different than other places that had slow progress on things. We're not forcing them to rush it up because it oftentimes is not the business's fault.
so I guess my question is there some kind of system of checks and balances of is there progress going on? In the
Sure.
building?
So, well, when
Because
the-
I mean, all we see is brown paper.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the permit is pulled, there is an inspection that has to happen before they can obviously start business, right? Now, if they're reaching the end of a permit timeline, then planning and development will check back in with them if there's any extensions going to be offered. But there's no, every 2 weeks, we check in on progress and such, so.
Well, it's just kind of strange when I'm trying to communicate with the
Yeah.
guy and he's like, yeah, if we don't get it done by November, maybe it's December. If not this month, then next month, but never offers anything like this is what's holding us up.
Right.
Hey, we really want
And I don't know that he's offered that. I don't know the planning and development. I can ask Mara, but I don't know if he's even reached the end of his permit, so.
Okay, can we check on
Yep,
that then?
we absolutely can.
He can't be paying rent. He's been sitting there all this time.
He's been paying rent since a year ago, August. That's what I understand.
Longer than that. So it's crazy. It's almost,
Isn't there something that Roger Grove put in place to send a letter saying we're gonna fine you or something?
I thought there was something about vacant buildings.
Because that happened. in
Because it
a lot
happened to
with
Polly.
Christie. Oh, yeah.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
there are vacant building issues, right? And there are nuisances and such like that. Whether or not this would qualify, I don't know. I mean, there are codes for things that if you're gonna sit vacant, that can
Because
be
where
fined for.
architectures is, the former owners.
Yeah.
Polly Getz and her husband, I can't remember his name, Bob Getz. They own that building and they allowed it to sit vacant and it kind of fell into disrepair and it was just kind of. But at some point, it was whatever was passed at that time or whatever was enacted at that time was the impetus that pushed them to sell that building and let it be.
Yeah, it
developed.
was effective, whatever that letter was.
Yes, it wasn't.
So there's a very clear line in the code that vacant buildings in disrepair. I mean, it's the level of disrepair, really, that lighting issue that
And this
triggers
isn't,
it, right?
I mean, Union Loafer isn't disrepair, it's just, you would think as a future business owner in that business district, you'd want to be a little more communicative with your other owners and stuff, hey, like, we get that there's
Sure.
like construction delays and stuff like that, but just kind of well, if it doesn't open this month, it'll be next month. Whatever.
The code doesn't give us any power to regulate that, so.
Maybe somebody like Mora could make a phone call or find out and talk to him and then just give us some feedback.
Yes,
What's going on.
some more concrete.
Certainly, yeah.
We're not gonna get it from somebody. We don't have any authority.
No, I get
Somebody
that.
Like Mora. could
Right, I get that. Yeah.
Say, hey.
And the owner may say it's none of your business too. Right. So, I mean, that's a fundamental reality, right? I mean,
Then we'll look
we're a
for
close
the
knit community, right? So,
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, absolutely.
We like our brown paper.
Heidi,
Maybe we can.
Heidi?
browse some things.
Yes. Was somebody saying Heidi?
Yeah, did anyone else hear that Nearing is moving?
Yes, so nearing the green and white nearing that used to be next to what's Union Loafers. He is moving that space to
Maplewood.
Maplewood. And I don't know what's going in that space because they're there until the end of the month. And so that's up to the owner of that building, who he rents to next. But the other space that Nearing owns that has the black and brick front building is now morphing into a retail space called Curate. Curate by Nearing Design. And with the help of Fran here, I'll get out. He has invited everybody in the district to a happy hour on the 22nd in the space from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And he has given me a PDF announcement of that. And with the help of Fran, I will get that out to everybody in the district because we all know that I'm like tech challenged.
That's awesome.
This is why I showed up today, because this way I can definitely hear you. You can see, I was like, it's just much easier for me to go to the meeting than try to get on a computer. Okay. So that's where that space stands. And I'm not sure what's happening to the other space. I don't know that Alan knows. So, and I know he wasn't, I mean, he was kind of sad to leave the districts. That's why he's staying in the Curate space and developing that for a different purpose.
Chris, isn't that owned by the same folks that own where the Union
Yes.
Loafers,
I believe so.
the Rogers Group or something
Yeah.
like that?
I believe so.
I just hope something goes in. My biggest complaint about Union Loafers, besides the fact that I want to buy sandwiches from them, is the
Mhm.
fact that that is the anchor for our whole
Correct.
district. And it just looks like blah the whole time. And it's kind of like, we look like an abandoned up with.
Right, even if, I mean,
Yes.
even if they remove the brown paper from the windows. Because it seems like it's made quite a bit of progress in there.
Yeah.
I think
I've
it would
seen-
look
I've
even better.
I've
It would
seen
get,
lights on it.
yeah,
I hope that old American cleaner Nearing building doesn't end up just sitting like that too.
right. So, well, Chris, there's another space for you to,
Just sell it to me. Just sell it to me.
so,
So I'll look into that one. I'm ready.
We've moved on from the nearing buildings. The Color Lounge Salon just moved out.
they did,
Yes, like really fast.
huh, right next to Kelly in the Pilates?
Yes.
Okay,
And the reason was they are sick of their landlord.
oh, Ed Sneed is just
That
horrific.
was the. That's why they moved, because it's a nice space. It's nice
Right,
location for anybody. So anyway, just thought I would share that.
okay. I did not know that, but
Oh, we have another
he is,
building.
he's a special kind of,
Got it.
okay. He's a special kind of person.
Well, the interesting thing is this opens up a lot of space for retail or other things too, if they want to try something different.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Interesting.
On
So,
that
Josh-
note, I am looking for a slightly larger space. I would love to stay in the district if possible.
Okay, well,
So-
Josh, you have the color salon that just opened, but that's a
I
relationship.
don't know
with
about that
Sneed.
one.
Right, but you
Jeff,
might want to look over at the Nearing building, because I understand that landlord is not of the same caliber. He's a decent person compared to, well, you know.
Hey,
I say it.
Josh, we have a suite open in the 2-story brick building if you're interested.
How big is it?
800, 1,000 square feet, 3 offices, lounge area in the front.
This is fun.
Okay.
Speaking of
We might
commercial
talk.
growth, real estate meeting.
Okay, so you all can talk to each other about Josh, there are some issues, and on any given day, I'm ready to retire, so. Okay.
All right,
You're
we'll
not
have our
retiring.
own little meeting. I'm outgrowing my space here, so.
Okay, so, city update then, Eric?
Sure, let me, I gotta share it. A couple things real quick. Get the screen up. For everyone to see, strategic planning, the city has started its strategic planning. You're all gonna get an email about this. But this website, so if you just go to webstergrovesmo.gov/strategic planning, there is a community survey, which all of you as boards and commission members, the council would like to hear from you on about the draft mission, vision, and values of the city. As they work to create the strategic plan for the city, employees, residents are all getting it, but they want the boards and commissions input as well. So we will send that out. So please be aware that that is out there. I'll just combine a couple things quick here. Business license, there we go. Business licenses have slowed way down. In fact, no new ones, and closures actually haven't been filed. So like the salon that pulled out or moved, if they did move out of the city, hasn't filed a closure notice with us yet. Most businesses don't. It usually takes them time. But parking permits are going on right now. Now, of course, there's no permitted spaces in Crossroads, but some of you may know that's big for a lot of the businesses in the area. So they are filling out parking permits. And just to briefly chime in, again, BDC, just to blend these real quick, work@webstergroves.com is still available to you all. There is digital advertising starting from the city next week on this. And so if you have a job posting that you want to post or have a volunteer, part-time, intern, whatever it may be, it's free to you to post. It goes up for 2 weeks. We can extend it as long as you want. And it's meant to be a place to use our scale as a city to multiply advertising dollars for employment opportunities. Sergeant Flannery, anything you want to offer?
Yeah, we're doing fine on parking. We're doing fine with the urine collection people. We haven't had any issues that I know of. Do you have any issues, Josh? Because I have not seen any back there, and I have not heard from Kelly regarding.
I haven't seen any. I haven't had any complaints from my patients, so.
Right.
Good.
Awesome.
Fran, anything?
Nope.
That's all the report right there. BDC and city, I knocked them all out.
Okay, so we do not have a meeting scheduled for December because everybody's schedules get so crazy busy. So we decided to eliminate that meeting. So our next meeting will be January 18th at 8:05. Is everybody okay with that on their schedule? Okay, and then Chris, I actually need to get with you between now and that next meeting, but I'll reach out to you. Okay.
Hopefully I'm not in trouble.
No, not at all.
But you got more work to do, I have a feeling.
Okay, so, okay, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up before we motion to adjourn?
I guess you put those donuts on the table to get us into the conference.
Well, I because Ray was coming, there are, for those of you that aren't here, some donuts from Schnucks, there's a support Crossroads. We put a little sales tax in there, so, I obviously couldn't get bagels. I was sort of hoping myself, so.
So, and I just want to say thank you again, Jeff, for coming back onto the board.
Thank you, Jeff.
Welcome.
And we will see everybody in January. Everybody have great holidays and be safe. And does somebody want a motion to adjourn?
I will. Motion to adjourn.
Okay. And second is by Julie, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, say nay. Okay, everybody have a great Christmas.
Happy
Hanukkah.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Every-